Welcome to my voiceover world.
Hey, Sebastian, can you hear me okay?
Hey, I can.
Good. I'm in my bathroom, so I just want to make sure you can hear me all right.
I can hear you loud and clear.
I
How are
can
things
hear you.
going?
Great. I'm so happy to be doing this with you.
Of course, that's what I've been doing with many others. But thanks for willing to do this.
Well, I've been following you and all your path and all the wonderful interviews you did, so I'm very grateful that you found me to do an interview.
Well, yes, that's because I've been getting to know about you right there because of all your characters right there. Because I've been getting to know a lot about you because of your character, Captain Phasma from the Lego Star Wars thing that I used to see back then, long before I discovered voice acting through anime because of the show One Punch Man, which, in all honest
Oh,
term, that show was the reason why I've got myself into voice acting and why I discovered everybody, including you, Joe Ouchman, and everybody there. That's what led to my desire of wanting to work with everyone in the industry.
I love that. So One Punch Man inspired you to get into voiceover work and also to get to know all the other people in our community, right?
Yes, indeed. Which is
Yeah.
why I got to meet Saitama himself, one Max Middleman, who he's been my biggest supporter for a very long time. And you want to know something? Here's the funny
Go ahead.
thing, but I inspired him to do a lot of great stuff right there because I told him in December that I'm running the Boston Marathon, which I did it right there. And and right there afterwards, by the time August came, is where I told him about it, and he just feels inspired by me to do a lot of running and everything right there. And the best part,
Sebastian,
he helped me reunite with Robbie and Ray. And that's what led to me wanting to finish up my video about the game they created, Date Everything, which is now on my YouTube right now. But honestly,
wonderful.
no one ever even saw my post about it right there, since
Well,
I
I'm going to
literally
go and
packed.
look for it. I'm going to go find it because this inspires me. That's very courageous to run a marathon. Honestly, I didn't know that about you. See, you have all these interesting facets yourself, right?
Yes, indeed.
Hmm.
Now, there are many questions I've been like to ask you, but
Go for it.
you've been part of so many incredible projects, right? So what's the most interesting thing about you being in so many different projects?
Well, as an actor, I like to challenge myself, right? So I like to do different things, and I've been very fortunate to have a career that's kind of multifaceted. I've started in musical theater and I did a lot of theater. Then I went into film and television and then voiceover, to be honest with you, Sebastian, was my last career and I'm loving it the most. I embrace it. So to do different characters, I love to explore different ages, different accents, different worlds from fantasy to modern. So that's what we get to do as voiceover actors. It's not just about how we look. We can play somebody 3 years old or 3,000. We can be a talking bear. We can be a lizard. We can be a king or a queen. So that's what I love about playing all these different parts.
That's very interesting to hear from you, which leads me to the most important question, but what inspired you to pursue voice acting, and what was the best decision you've made so far that has excelled into your voice acting career? For what purpose?
Wow, that's the ultimate question and sort of the ultimate reason why I do what I do. I like to, like you, inspire others. I like to make them laugh. I like to make them cry. So I like to make some horror and demon voice. I like to and be scared. So I think that all these different parts I take on are truly my inspiration. It all starts with the right with the writer. Material. We don't have the material, we can't be voiceover actors. So I think that's what inspired me to read all this different kind of stuff, like in video games or anime or animation or narration or promos or trailers. I like to do all genres, and I've been very fortunate to do it. So that kind of inspires me to work harder and just keep getting those kind of parts and studying. I'm still coaching and still learning different things. I believe, Sebastian, that you never stop learning. And I believe that it's good to be curious always in your adventures in voiceover, or else if you're not curious or enthusiastic, then what's the point? I like to be like a child and aware of everything.
Hmm. Well, that's very interesting to hear. So
Yeah,
that's how you got into voice acting, because of all that experience of inspiring others and to those who comes to understand with good free will and stuff.
exactly.
Well, that's something I want to hear from you. To be honest, just inspiring others is kind of the thing that I've been doing over the years because through this channel right there, I have been making a lot of videos for a lot of people there to help gain their attention and to help them give the recognition they deserve. And as I help them out, they do the same for me in return, which is why everyone supported me on the Boston Marathon.
Sebastian,
Especially
you do this naturally. You have the ability to just be so aware of all of our work. Like I'm always so amazed when I see you wish somebody happy birthday, and then beside their name, you have all the characters they've done. You are a fountain of knowledge, and you are an inspiration to me. So I'm so happy to know you, truly.
yes, and eventually, very soon, for my friend Joe Ouchman, the collage I'll be doing for him will be will be one of the most biggest impacts that will help him be recognized like
Oh,
everyone
good.
else.
I think all of our hard work, I always want my friends to do well. I don't understand actors who get jealous of other actors. If other people are doing well, you should be happy about it, right? It's a team effort.
That is the whole thing about real life experience, just by understanding the concept of it. So yeah,
Exactly. I agree with you completely.
indeed.
Mm.
Well, about the characters, about the questions of the characters, but do you remember the very first character, like your first ever voice acting audition you got yourself into? And what was the experience like?
Okay, well, this is an interesting two-part question. My first character I did, great question, is I did a character in the original Sailor Moon. So I played a character named Lori, who was a 14-year-old Southern girl who got possessed by the devil. But I wasn't really in voiceovers at the time. A friend of a friend was doing the auditions and asked me, I was doing a lot of on camera stuff and mostly theater as well. Do you want to audition for this? I said, okay, Sailor Moon, all right, sure. And so I did that and got the part. And now, as you know, Sailor Moon is such a huge credit, the original one. And so I'm happy that this gentleman that I know, he's like knows every single episode. He sent me my material from many years ago, and I'm able to hear myself do that. So that first character a long time ago when I went in voiceovers, and then my next first character when was really in voiceovers, I would say it was a video game. My first video game was Guild Wars 2, where I played a Tauren, I think,
I
and I played
believe it's
Tyranic
Mighty
Ascot.
Guraka, Turun, and
Yes,
Tyrana Taskjaw, correct?
yes, correct. I knew you would be able to help me. And that, got me started with my love of video games. It was my first video game, and very grateful at the time to Bethesda, who produced the game and have had a strong history with them. So I do remember it because you know what, Sebastian? You should always remember who started your career. And I'm always grateful and remember my first job, whether it was television, film, voiceovers, and I'm still now and then I'll send an email to someone and say, thank you so much for remembering, giving me my first job. We have to start somewhere, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
But what you told me about the whole you being part of Sailor Moon, that your first ever
Yes.
audition of Sailor Moon which is around the time where Canada was dubbing the entire thing. Before 2014 is where Viz Studiopolis took over and dubbed the entire thing. Afterwards, by
Right.
2021 is where VCI Los Angeles took over and just did the entire Sailor Moon thing. But hey, I'm glad you told me that your first ever audition was Sailor Moon. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure so that just in case if I ever do a voice showcase for you, just like how I did for many others for about a few years, from Billy Kometz, Graham McTavish, Lance Riddick, all
Yes.
of them, all for the sake of making sure to not only give recognition they deserve, but to also jog their memories to those
Yeah.
who, if they can remember their characters, then my videos are the solution to resolve it. I told this
Right.
to Ellen Sturt Epcar and Doug Stone,
Oh, yeah.
and
Very good
and
friend
they
of mine. Yeah.
yes, and they told me that they'll be looking forward to seeing it whenever it's all
Yeah.
complete. So yeah,
You, if anybody can find it, I call you Detective Sebastian. You're able to find all of our characters in the past, which is wonderful because we forget. So that's good.
and
Your
that's
brain is right on.
And that's what the power of autism does. Just helps analyze everything, having a good ear, understanding everything, just so that with that kind of knowledge comes a greater aspect that will help define the entire industry. So
A
that is
hundred
something I
percent.
wanted to tell you.
I know. And that's why I'm so grateful to be here because I know you are a wealth of knowledge about all of our careers, which I'm grateful
Indeed.
for.
Now, you being part of the Elder Scrolls video game franchise must have been so cool, right? So what's the most biggest thing when you got yourself involved into the Elder Scrolls video game franchise, starting with Skyrim and others?
Well, I mean, that's one of my first games after Guild Wars 2. So that sort of started the Elder Scrolls franchise for me. Skyrim, directed by the wonderful Chris Valle, I'll never forget. There were three studios going on at the same time, and I played apparently over 80 characters, Sebastian. So my IMDb is where I have to go to see most of them. But at the time, I didn't understand that when it was called Common Woman, it wasn't so common. And there was all kinds of characters, and people are absolutely mesmerized by Skyrim. It is a stunning game. And the Elder Scrolls franchise, the Elder Scrolls Online, is literally the gift that keeps on giving, Sebastian. I have literally, apparently, according to IMDb, I've done maybe six or seven, and I'm still working on it. So, my goodness, I think it started in 20, when did Skyrim start? 2011, I think. Look at
It is
2025.
correct.
Is it right?
2011 is you're correct. It is
I can't believe
true.
I remember that. One of my first gigs. I mean, I think I started officially with a voiceover agent in about 2010 or 2010, I think. So 2011, yep. And I'm working on some this week as we speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I was informed by someone who has been following me recently, Amari Williams, about him being involved in Skyrim, and that you were involved in another Skyrim thing right there, another Elder Scrolls project
Yeah.
called Oblivion Remastered, and that
Yes.
boy, but hey, I got to know about Skyrim, about the Elder Scrolls franchise for a long time since, how do I say this, like around the year of 2011, because it was part of my childhood, long
Ah,
before I discovered everybody there. The
yeah.
best part is that I made a voice showcase video about a certain someone that who was involved in it, and that name is Keith Sarabaiha.
Oh, fabulous voiceover talent. I admire him so much.
Yes,
Wow. Interesting.
I did a voice showcase for him around December for his birthday in order to help give him to update his entire voice showcase due to him recently getting himself involved in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as the
Yep.
voice of Gilgamesh. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, yes. Yes. Oh, God, he's amazing. He's so talented.
yes,
Yeah.
indeed. And that's why I like about him. Just inspiring those to carry on his torch for some of his characters at least. So yeah, it's something I'm beginning to learn so far.
For sure. Yeah.
Yes. Now, you being part of Fallout 4 as both Ilana and Ellie must have been very cool, right? So what's your most favorite thing about being part of the Fallout 4 game?
Another incredible franchise that the fans love and I love doing. Well, I'll tell you one of the interesting challenges was I played the two scientists in the Institute, right? Now, there's a scene where I talk to myself, to the other character. And I started to laugh. I said, of all of the thousands of characters, we were laughing, the director and I, because he said, in this scene, you're going to talk to yourself. So we were trying to differentiate how do we make these two ladies sound differently? So we decided to make one younger and more naive and inexperienced scientist, and the other sort of jaded, been around the block, had enough, was tired. And so that was my biggest challenge, knowing that I had a scene where the characters talk to each other. That was sort of funny. I enjoyed it. And Fallout 4 is again a huge game that the fans love, and I get a lot of notice about that. I love doing that. I just love video games, Sebastian. I love them.
Well, that's why you being part of that was the most brilliant thing that was ever been done. Plus, you being part of it is just like the just being super awesome, especially when you get to see a lot of people involved in it. Like, for example, Paul Eiding, for example, and Kari Wahlgren, who I got to
Oh,
meet with around June, and everybody else throughout the entire game. And you want to know something? I do know that they made a live action Fallout show on Amazon Prime, which turned out to be a success due to
yes.
it focusing more on the actual story and the character and the lore. And that way, with great character development and lore comes a greater story right there. That's something most directors must focus on. Because if not,
A
things could end
million
up in a
percent.
complete failures. Just like in some movies that ended up in complete failures due to the lack of storytelling.
Exactly. If you don't care about the characters and the story, what's the point? You can have a million special effects, but if you don't care, what's the point? One quick thing you just mentioned about Paul Eiding. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I did a play called Tamara. And Paul Eiding and I were both in the play. It's where the audience follows the characters around in an old house. And Paul and Eiding and I had an amazing scene together. So I've known him for a long time. He's a fabulous actor. We both come from the stage, and so I'm a huge fan of his. Small world, huh, Sebastian?
It is a small world,
Yeah.
especially from a guy from my childhood show, Ben 10, which Ben 10, on the other hand, has been my childhood my entire life right there. And I got to know Paul Eiding because of Grandpa Max himself. And because of me discovering voice acting through anime, I discovered him and him being part of some projects that are literally anime based, like Shin Magana Tensei, for example, a video game that some of the people are in.
100%.
And that's why I just wanted to
Yeah.
get to know Paul
Well,
very
you know
well
some of the
because of
best people.
that.
I'm telling you, Sebastian. Yeah.
In,
Great
indeed,
guy. Great guy.
he is indeed. Now, you being the character Alicia in Arestria Ascending must have been the most legendary character you played as, right? So what's the most coolest thing about being part of that video game as that character?
It was a different kind of style of video game for me. It was one of the first video games where other than Skyrim, where I did a fantasy piece. And if I remember, she was a summoner. So she was in the category of someone who summons. And I found the game to be so absolutely beautiful and stylized. I really enjoyed playing that, being a part of that game. I never played it. I wish I would have. But did you ever get to play that game, Sebastian, and hear and see it? Because I heard it's beautiful.
It is beautiful indeed. And also, I got to meet one of the people of that game by the name
Ooh.
of Brittany Cox.
Oh, she's amazing too.
She is,
Amazing.
isn't she? She, when
Yes.
I got to interview her, she is so much of a true honest person, is very expressive about it. And
Yeah.
and from what I learned about her personality, she is just learning to be a hard worker and everything right there. And that's why you and her being part of that entire project was very cool. The best part is
Yeah.
that you, my friend, were like the very main character in the entire game right there. And that's what I
I
love
didn't
about you.
know.
Yes, you being the main character was like the most coolest thing that ever brought about everything that is coming to you.
Wow. I gotta go find this link and watch it.
And
Thank you
that
for telling me, Sebastian. I really appreciate it.
it's all part of behind the voice actors website. And that's why I'm telling you this as a way for you to understand it clearly.
Wow. Thank you for the knowledge.
It is what I do best, my friend. Hmm.
Yes.
Now, you playing Captain Phasma in the Lego Star Wars franchise must have been the most exciting thing for you, right? So what's the most coolest thing when you got to be that character throughout the entire Lego Star Wars franchise?
Well, I got to tell you, it's probably one of my coolest jobs. Well, Star Wars franchise. I am thrilled to say, and I can finally say, I'm part of the whole Star Wars universe doing Captain Phasma. And that came about because I was taking a class. See, every voiceover actor take classes. You never know who's going to hear you. And the casting director of that class happened to hear me and thought she can sound like Captain Phasma, sort of a very RP British cold woman and commander. And so she cast me in it from just listening me in the class. Wasn't even that character. And so I ended up doing all the Lego Star Wars TV specials. I ended up doing Star Wars Resistance, and then I ended up doing Captain Phasma in Fortnite. They had a Star Wars episode, so I played her. Yeah, good surprise. That's a new development, and so I played her several times. And I'll tell you, oh, it's amazing credit. It's an amazing credit. Yeah,
That's very awesome to hear from you, my friend. Because you being Captain Phasma was like the very good thing right there. And
yeah,
honestly, Gwendolyn Christie would be proud of you for just bringing a lot of good aspect to the character. Especially when you, on the other hand, that one episode where you get to fight off against Lex Lang and Trevor
yeah.
Duvall in one epic thing. And also, that in All Stars is where you got to get to be with both Zeno and Max in the entire show right there. And that's what I love about your
Exactly.
performance so far. But you being part of Fortnite as that character, the most coolest thing that could help define your acting
Isn't it?
right there. Indeed.
Thank
And
you. And I also had to learn Fortlish. I had to learn Fortlish, Sebastian. Well, I did Captain Phasma in Fortlish language. So it wasn't even in English. So that was a double challenge. It was great.
well, that's very most interesting to hear from you.
Yep.
Now, without further ado, you being the character the Mermaid King and Daniel Spellbond must have been the most coolest character, right? So what's the most thrilling thing about being the character in the entire TV show?
Wow, you remember that. That was really cool because I felt like this was not a typical mermaid, the beautiful mermaid. This was a mermaid sort of I likened it to playing the Joker. And you know how the Joker is sort of misunderstood and he got burned by acid? Well, she was disfigured and nobody liked her and nobody appreciated her and she was kind of thrown in the back. So I got to display a character that was very misunderstood and very hurt and ended up being beautiful despite her outward appearance, which to me is the most interesting when there's an inner problem or somebody from society doesn't appreciate what she really is. So I got a real emotional arc with this character. When people don't fit into boxes in society, I love characters like that, misunderstood and shunned upon, and people don't care about characters because they don't understand exactly what's going on. And I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I do. You know, you being that character was just like very something else there. Because I just like how you just bring a lot of emotion to that character.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that Joker attacks that no one dislikes her or anything, and the real reasoning why she became a villain is because of that tragic experience. Like I heard a
Exactly.
saying that some villains aren't born or born evil. They were made. They were made this way because of a tragic past that they've gone through. It's what led to them
100%.
wanting to a desire to just trying to end some people so that that way they won't have to suffer through anything again.
A wonderful way of putting it. And as an actor, you don't play that you're evil or bad, or else it's going to just be a caricature of a character. There's reasons why you make those choices in life. And it generally has to do with going back to your childhood or whatever. In all characters, it's fascinating as an actor to find those layers, or else you just play a generic character, right? Does that make sense?
It does make sense indeed. Hmm. Now, do you recall the character Principal Magellan in the video game Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny?
I
What do
do.
you like
I,
most about voicing that character?
because Uh, she was stern and didn't take any crap from any of the kids. And I like these sort of, because I'm a pretty free form girl, and I like these characters that sort of have a stick up there, you know where, and very uptight and not fun. It's fun to sometimes play somebody that is very much by the book, by the rules. And I enjoy doing that because it's sort of against me. I'm a much freer, more fun person, but I like characters that are sort of an authority figure. That's the fun part for me. I do remember her. Yeah. Thanks for the question. It's a good one.
Yes. Because you
Yeah.
being part of that video game was just like the most coolest thing you have ever been through. Especially when you, on the other hand, got to be with so many great cast there, including Jenny Torado and Matt Shipman, Sung Won Chao, but most importantly, the younger version of
Yeah.
your character, Christina V. Christina Valenzuela, who
Yeah.
she did the young version of you right there. It's just all working
Yes,
out
I remember
nicely.
that. Do you
Yes.
know that's my second job with her? I had another job with her. Christina V to me is I mean, I admire her so much. She's so mega talented and such a sweet person. We did a show together called Adventures in Odyssey. And I got to, you know how sometimes, Sebastian, we don't get to work with the other actors in the studio? So we literally sat side by side. We had to play people who were, it was in during World War II, it was very heavy. And we held each other's hand because we were both prisoners in this Adventures in Odyssey. We held each other's hand and we did the whole scene together like that. And it really bonded us not only as actors, but as friends. And we've remained friends ever since. And thank you for reminding me that she played my younger character in that show, in the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it's what I do best, my friend. But you know something? There is one fact I'd like to tell you, but she has been liking a lot of my Instagram stories for over the past few years because of me hashtagging her. Also because of the videos I've been making for her for a long time. All in the sake of getting her attention because I wanted her to understand about who I am so that that way I could just be more in the community with everyone else because that's my biggest
Sebastian,
goal.
I don't think you have to worry. Everybody knows who you are, which is great. You're doing all this stuff is really, really getting your name out there, and you do it so wonderfully.
Well, I'm glad you say that.
I
Now,
mean it.
without further ado, you being part of the video game Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion as the voice of Gillian Holloway must have been very awesome, right? So, what's the most coolest thing about being in that video game as that character in the Final Fantasy VII Reunion game?
Well, first of all, Final Fantasy. I wanted that on my resume very badly, so I was happy to be cast in that again, another iconic game. And I think the director I worked with was Kirk Thornton, who's a wonderful voiceover actor who I admire. So it's always neat to, you know him? You know.
Yes, I met
Yeah.
with him in
And
person.
I
I
think
even
that that would
Yes. And
really.
I even showed him my impersonation of him, and he was like, "Holy crap, you sounded a lot like me." And I was like, "Well, it took me a lot of practice to do it, and it improved well." But yeah, you must have directed you so well throughout the
Oh,
game,
that's
right?
so he's an amazing. I like directors that are very specific and very focused, and he was great to work with. Yes, I really enjoyed being part of that game and grateful to be a part of that franchise for sure.
Well, I'm glad you say that, my
Mhm.
friend. Because, hey, you being part of that game was just like the most genius thing that was ever been done there. Especially when you got to interact with the characters like Zach Fair, for example, and you even got to interact with Bill Millsap himself. And not just with Bill Millsap, but with everyone else there. Will Chris, Ernie, and James, and everybody else throughout the game. And that's why. Kirk Thornton, on the other hand, he did the most brilliant job directing you and bringing you to a Final Fantasy
Absolutely.
game that would define everything forever.
Thank you. I'm proud to be a part of that. And thank you for saying that. Oh,
Well, that's what I do, you know, just making sure you understand things clearly.
thank you for doing
You,
that.
yeah, you being part of Dragon Age, the Vile Guard, as the voice of Afka must have been the most awesome thing, right? So, what's the most thrilling thing when you got to be in that Dragon Age game as the voice of that character?
Again, another big franchise, Dragon Age, and I was proud and to do that. What I liked about that is I got to use an accent. So I was Eastern European, not Russian, it's just sort of generic Eastern European. And I always love when I get to take an accent because it changes my whole demeanor as a character. And I had a lot of dialogue in that. And I really enjoyed working with that whole team. And they were very, very pleased with my work, which is always, you want the client to be happy. And it was a tour de force role. It really had a huge emotional arc from going very cold again, but then breaking down because she had a major tragedy in her life. And Sebastian, those are my favorite kind of parts that have an arc when you can go from point A to point YZ and show your emotional train of thought. I love that.
Well, that's what I like about that right there. Just seeing you in that entire game was the most genius thing that was ever been done. And that whoever directed you, I give props to the director for bringing you into the game, especially when you get to interact with a lot of people, such as Erica Eshi, for example, Ellie Helias, Aika
Yeah.
Madi, Samali Manito, all of them right there. Even Matthew Mercer as well, who, on the other hand, you all did very
Oh,
good throughout the game.
oh, thank you very much. Yeah, they were very specific and very knowledgeable about the whole lore. You know what I love, Sebastian, when you get somebody online that was the creators of the game, and so I remember her listening and being very helpful and having the whole detail of the world. It's great when the creators are on helping you out with the director. Love that.
Well, that's the most interesting thing I'm beginning to hear from you so far, my friend.
You're welcome. I love that.
Yes. Well, Ellie, well, Ellen, it is such an honor to meeting you here, and that having you right there will help give you the recognition you will eventually get. Pretty soon, you, my friend, will be part of so many things that will be yet to come, and that is why I have the desire of working with you.
And I have the desire of working with you. And thank you for your support and encouragement of not only myself, but my whole VO community. There are very few people who do what you do. So you have a unique perspective on all of our VO lives. And I'm very grateful to know you, Sebastian. And
Of
thanks
course,
again for asking me for this interview.
that is what I do, like
Yes, it
everyone
is.
else. But before I go, there's one thing I like to ask you, and this is the most important one. But when people look back on your work, how do you want to be remembered as a voice actor?
I want to be remembered as someone who cares about their fellow actor, player, first of all, and second of all, somebody who inspires, encourages, makes people laugh, makes people cry, and just someone who really cares and does honest emotional work.
That's very awesome to hear, and that's the whole reason why I'm willing to do everything to accomplish my goal of working with you. And so, yeah, that's something I want to say to you.
We're on the same wavelength, Sebastian,
Then I'm glad I said that to you.
right?
Well, Ellen, it's such an honor to
Me too.
meeting you, and I hope we see each other through social media and do something great. Hmm.
I know we will now that we've met. And thank you again for your time and for doing this. I had a great time. You asked amazing questions, and it went too fast.
Don't worry, that's okay. It happens to everybody. So you're
Yeah,
not the only
I
one.
bet,
So
I
yeah.
bet it does. Thank you again. I really appreciate your time, Sebastian. It was great.
And you too, Ellen. I hope you do something
Okay,
very
good.
awesome, my friend. And
I'm going to. I'm encouraged by you. You take care.
you too,
Thanks
my
again.
friend. Bye.
Bye.
Want to keep up with my journey? Follow me on social media for more updates, behind the scenes moments, and all the fun along the way.